Ah, what? I needed my tea before I started. You can still hear what my voice sounds like, right? Welcome to the den. I will try my best to not sound completely congested, for I am Jared the Greek, your favorite, still kind of sick cyber new type. We have a lot to go through in this episode because this is one of those big, important episodes. Ivan said it was probably the most exciting episode since the duel with Elon. So, yeah, a lot went on in this, and yet no action scenes. It is a talk one, but this is a talk episode where it sets up way too much. So let's try to break down the episode as quickly as we can so we can get to that spoiler section. So our episode begins with a cold open where we see various members of the Bennett group plotting the death of Delling. We're going to go for that assassination we foreshadowed in episode 1. Finally. Then we cut to the school where Suletta is taking care of Miorine's garden because Miorine is off doing business things, so she puts Suletta in charge of her garden. She's visited by Shattuck, who mentions the fact that the Ariel is also off being studied, and thus Suletta has not taken on any of the duels that have been adding up, and wondering if she'll be ready when the Ariel returns to go back to being a duelist and holding her status as holder. Suletta seems generally in a good mood about everything, looking forward to the return of her Ariel, and of course the return of Miorine. From there, Suletta is called forth to do testing on the brand new robo-legs they have made using the gun system. And you watch Suletta pilot the robo-legs through the obstacle course. It's kind of fun. After that, Nika ends up discovering that Suletta has picked up matching keychains for her and Miorine, which is adorable. It's really showing that Suletta is starting to really care about Miorine. From here, we get a scene with Shattuck checking in with his dad about the assassination plan and who will be taking control afterwards. In addition to that, we see that Yule has actually left the school. He is now under the name of Bob and is working on a cargo ship. Not exactly what I expected them to do with Yule, but I like the fact that he goes from going to prep you for an executive job or some high-ranking position of importance or a military commander, and now it's just like, do grunt work. That's what all you're good for, big guy. I kind of appreciate that. You can tell we have a more humble Yule here because he's not talking back to his boss. He's doing his work without complaint, and I appreciate that. I think we're seeing that evolution of Yule that I predicted earlier on in the show. Also, Miorine is busy talking with her father about the business status of her company and buying a new ship. It doesn't seem like it's that large of a ship, and I think she's primarily utilizing it as a sense of transport. I don't think it's going to become the main battleship of the series, but it's always possible that they have something small like the Reinforced Junior from Victory Gundam. And that's about all I can get into without the spoiler section. On the character side of things, we have a couple characters here to talk about. One, Suletta actually is getting a little bit of development in this episode. We're seeing her show her emotions and her feelings for Miorine in the way of taking care of the garden and how that makes her happy, buying the keychains and looking forward to Miorine's return. But she's also being warned by a couple characters in this episode about how Miorine might just be using her, that Miorine might not actually care about her, and to be careful of Miorine. And that's even coming from the Earth Dorm, which when they're saying it, you know that there's a grain of truth, as opposed to others who may have some sort of bigger investment involved. On the Shattuck side of things, we see more of his sneaky side as he is helping his father with the assassination plans, and he definitely seems to have some bigger plans of his own. And he's definitely giving me that McGillis IBO Season 2 vibe, and if you haven't seen IBO Season 2, his real intentions start to become more clear, and yeah, that's quite the antagonist to deal with. So we'll see if Shattuck actually does go down that route or not. I've had a lot of grand predictions for characters, and oftentimes I'm quite wrong. So we'll see where things go with Shattuck, but you can tell that the direct approach of working with Miorine or winning her as his bride all went out the window, and now it's the subterfuge, lying, cheating, stealing. He lies, he cheats, he steals to get his Gundam. No one's gonna get that reference. It is nice to see Gyul showing some restraint, being a better person. You don't see him even have like a look of annoyance when he's being commanded by the captain. He's just doing the job. And then when some spoiler stuff happens, you can see that look of shock on his face, like, oh God, what have I gotten myself into? And that's going to lead into something for sure, because Gyul is not a man who's just going to step aside and say, you guys do your thing, I'm just going to sit here and watch. He's not a sit on the sidelines guy. Yes, I know he spent several episodes in a tent, but that's because his dad told him to. But if there's more chaos going on, he seems like the kind of guy who would actually take a step in to try to resolve said chaos. And then we have Miorine, who you really get to see her business serious side. Talking with her father, telling him the business status, and him saying, what about this? What about this? What about this? And her going like, right, yes, I'll look into that. And you're seeing that part of her where we've only seen her be rebellious against her father before, to now, as a business associate of her father's, she is being more serious. She's looking at this like, I'm getting information from the head of the Bennett group himself. This is going to help the company. And of course, little things she does at the end of this episode that make you go, wow, she is very much business focused. Everything else doesn't matter. And she's still incredibly selfish, but we are also seeing that how serious and intelligent she is. And I do appreciate that. I think that makes her a very interesting character. The question is, where will this lead? Because there's some decisions she makes here, even if accidentally, that are going to have consequences. Aesthetically, we do see those mercenary suits, and they got some Gundams in there. And I'll talk about them next week when we actually get to see them in action. I don't like just making commentary based on seeing the skeleton. Just like I didn't talk about the Demi Trainer until we actually had an episode with the Demi Trainer, I'm not going to talk about these units until they're actually in an episode properly. Overall, if you can't tell, I really liked this episode. Even if my scratchy throat, even if my sinus is filled, I'm just kind of like, ah! I'm freaking out because this episode sets so many things into play. The next episode is going to be crazy, and I think it's going to be kind of like a two-parter coming up here. Probably a big fight, probably some chaos, and we're going to see some major consequences for things that have been brewing in the background for several episodes now. I can't be more hyped than that. So let's get to spoilers. And I really mean it this time. I know a lot of times I come up flippant on the spoilers thing, but I really mean it this time. If you have not watched this episode yet, pause this video, watch the episode, come back, because oh boy, there's a lot to unpack here, and you do not want to be spoiled by me. So we have a lot to talk about in the spoilers, and I'm going to begin with the simple relationship stuff first before I get to the big political stuff. So on the relationship side of things, Elon returns. And of course, initially I thought it was Elon Prime, but as it turns out, it is a new Elon duplicate. So we're going to call him number 5. And number 5 straight up tries to seduce Suletta. I am not even making that up. To a point that Suletta's like, wow, Elon was kind of scary. What happened to him? Like, she gets freaked out by it. And obviously, because she hasn't had much human interaction experience. Having a guy come on to her, compliment her, and try to kiss her, a bit more than she's ready for. And along with Elon commenting on, Suletta, you and Miorine, you sure? Because there's rumors going around that she's just using you as an excuse to not have to marry one of us. And then you have the Earth Dorm saying, oh, please, Miorine would chew us up and spit us out if it got her 1% more profit. Suletta's like, well, not me, because I'm the groom. I'm like, are you sure about that? Are you sure she's not that ambitious? So I like the fact that we have people already questioning Suletta's feelings for Miorine. But more importantly, we now have Elon, who she does have feelings for, with a new variant coming up and basically trying to get her to go on the dates. Let's be a couple. Let's pull you away from Miorine and closer to the Pell organization so that we can use you to make better mobile suits for Pell and whatever else Pell's further goals are. Suletta at least senses that there's something wrong with this version of Elon, even questions him about it. But he kind of gives her a hand wave answer, and we all know Suletta, hand wave answers are all you need. But there's definitely some stuff that's going to be going down with that, and I can't wait. Not only that, but Miorine also informs her that, hey, we're working with the Pell Group. Ian is one of our test pilots, because he also has the witch abilities like you. So you two should go on a date, get along, be really close. Have a good time. And I think one of the reasons for Miorine's behavior like this is because she always looked at Earth as her escape. I can get to Earth, I can blend in, change my name, be someone else. But if she has her own company, she's no longer beholden to the whole marriage thing. She can go off and do her own thing. And I think that's Miorine's overarching plan, is to be a successful business person marry who she wants to marry, live the life she wants to live without being controlled by her father or anyone else. And her search for freedom seems a lot more obtainable when she's running her own Gundam-themed company, when she's traveling to the different colonies, discussing the viability of her product. Suletta's heart is broken because Miorine is like, oh, I hired gardeners to deal with my garden when I'm away, so I don't have to worry about you or anyone else having to do it. I already have paid people helping me out. And we got 2 test pilots, so you don't have to do all the work anymore. You can focus on some of your studies and some of your other extracurriculars. I bought a ship, so I don't need to be beholden to being picked up at the airport or what have you. I'll just go and come when I need to. She is so wrapped up in that world, and Suletta is all like, you don't need me anymore. I was your protector, and that doesn't matter to you. I was your gardener, that doesn't matter to you. I was your test pilot, that doesn't matter to you. And you see her, of course, symbolically drop the other keychain on the ground, just being like, oh, I'm not even needed. Why am I even here? Because Suletta has built up so much of herself around Miorine that to have a Miorine who's more independent, to be so flippant and so just, I'm working here, Suletta, I don't know what your problem is. And while Suletta is a very emotional person, as we've established in previous discussions, is very much that mindset of like, but then I was going to give you the charm and we were going to be even closer. And this is the first time Suletta's had to face a real hardship on screen. We have the feeling sorry for her when Elon doesn't show up, but we don't see the results of that. We see her just kind of go on with life and go, what happened to Elon? Why did he disappear? And then when Prime shows up and says, oh, I had things to do with the Pale group, sorry. She's just like, okay, handwave answer. I'll accept that, because she accepts everything at face value and doesn't question a single thing. Here she is, having built up so much of her life and even the protection of Ariel that Miorine assisted with. And now she's just a cog in Miorine's machine, and she just does not know how to emotionally deal with it. And I like seeing that. That's the conflict I was complaining about. The challenges to Suletta that we have not seen yet. We finally get to see them in this episode. It only took you 10 episodes! It only took them 10 episodes to get to a point that she finally got challenged by something. Good work, writing team. Good work. I'm sure she's going to get more challenges. I'm sure things will be more difficult for her. I'm sure the first 9 episodes is the calm before the storm. But man, just finally, something bad happens to Suletta and she has to find a way to deal with it. I'm sure she'll just be back to her regular personality in the next episode, but at least we saw a moment of weakness. Okay, so that's all the interpersonal crap. Let's get to the more important stuff. First off, the mercenaries hired from Earth by Shattuck are connected to Nika, which brings up a lot of questions about Nika, because obviously we knew she had some stuff going on in the background. She was always a little bit too friendly, and I was like, there's something else going on with you. We're still not entirely certain what it is, but we do know she helped Shattuck with a contact for those mercenaries. And Shattuck says that her father figure says hello. So we know there's some connection between the leader of the mercenaries and Nika, and I'm curious to see how that's all going to play out. In addition to that, it feels like the mercenaries are being hired to kill all the leadership of the Venerate group, not just Delling Rembrandt. But we'll see how that is really supposed to go, but that feels like what Shattuck is trying to push for. At the colony where Delling has shown up, we also see that Lady Prospera is there, so she may have a part to play in all this as well. And those mercenaries have hijacked the ship that Bob Guel is working on. So that's going to lead to something. And that's what I was referring to earlier, where I'm like, well, when the chaos starts breaking out, when's Guel going to do something? And I'm like, this would be the time to do it. Steal a mobile suit, protect his father, fight the mercenaries, even though he stands not even a remote chance against them. Or will he step aside and let them do their job and just be the worker that he is? It's hard to say what's going to happen with Guel, but I feel this is his time of action. So we'll see if he actually lives up to my hope for the character in the next couple episodes. I also have the one assistant lady from the Pale group who makes comment talking about how she had worked with medical technology stuff. And we have seen her interact with Lady Prospera. So likely there's some sort of time when she was a medical student working with the gun system to begin with, which is obviously why she's there. But it looked like she wanted to tell Suletta a bit more about everything that was going on. And Suletta, of course, gets distracted because Suletta never stops for another couple of seconds to say, oh, what was that important thing you wanted to tell me? Please tell me now. Multiple times that's come up. Suletta, seriously. The other thing that should be noted is that the Ariel is on that colony that's going to get attacked, which means for Suletta to pilot the Ariel, she would have to make her way to that colony as well. A lot of directions that could go, and I'm not quite sure where things are going to be moving in terms of that, but the Ariel isn't back at the school. And if there's an attack on the colony, the big question is, will Miorine grab Suletta and a few others, fly to the colony to try to rescue her father and some of the board members, and more importantly, the Ariel, because they need that because it's part of their R&D for the medical side of the Gund system. Told you, things are intense. They're heating up. We're putting all the pieces into place. The Pell group has their own secret agenda while also helping out Gundam Inc. The Grassley group is essentially setting up the assassination of Delling Rembrandt alongside the Jeturks. The ship Yule is working on is getting hijacked by mercenaries. The Ariel is outside of Suletta's grasp. A lot of pieces being put on the board here. Things are getting exciting. Things are going to get crazy. We're going to see the attack start, and we're going to see whether or not our students decide to get involved. It's Gundam. They probably will. The bigger question is, after this arc is over, are we going back to school? Or will there be so much chaos that we will finally be embroiled in a war in this Gundam series? Let me know in the comments which one you think is going to happen. Personally, I think we're going to war. I think they're like, hey, we did 10 episodes of school. Let's move on. Let's do something exciting. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. So until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the tavern, probably drinking another big glass of tea as I recover from the sickness.